Welcome to this Quick Thoughts episode. We're doing a 2024 NFL mock draft. I know it's a little bit early, right? We're still in week, 17, about to get to week 17 in the NFL season. But I'm a Jets fan, and oftentimes the mock drafts come in around like week 10 for the Jets fan. This year, I waited all the way until the end of week 16, which I think is progress for me as a fan. Uh, Nonetheless, obviously these are not going to be uh, absolute picks because, frankly, we don't know the draft order yet. But I thought it'd be a fun experiment to hop on here and do just a first round mock draft. I want to start with I am not an expert at all. I do not watch a lot of college football. I'm mostly basing this on what I know from conjecture and the limited college action I've watched, and also what I've seen in the NFL and what teams need. So I think it's just a fun thought experiment. Don't roast me too hard in the comments, please. We have the Chicago Bears picking first overall by way of Carolina. Listen, I think this pick is easy for Chicago. I think they're done with Justin Fields. I think I'd be willing to be done with Justin Fields if I was in control in Chicago as well. It's probably better for a fresh start, reset the contract situation, and draft the guy who many experts believe to be the best quarterback in the draft in Caleb Williams. Will he turn into anything? Who knows, right? But I think you know at this point that Justin Fields is not the elite talent, developing into the elite talent that you hoped he would when you drafted him with the 10th overall pick or whatever it was just a few years ago. Number two, listen, the Arizona Cardinals, I think, are rolling with Kyler Murray, and that's not something I thought leading into this season. We sit here in a situation in the draft with the second pick where there's going to be teams that want to trade up for a quarterback, specifically for Drake Maye, in my opinion. Cardinals are looking for weapons. You have Marvin Harrison here. You have Malik Neighbors here, and you have Brock Bowers here. I think those are three picks the Cardinals would be comfortable with. If they traded out of this pick, they know a quarterback would go number two. I think they're fine with trading down all the way to 5. And I think that's what they end up doing. I think the Giants end up trading up and getting their franchise guy. So let me go ahead and plug in the trades in here. If you're wondering why I'm not using PFF, PFF does not allow trades on the free version. So I'm using NFL mockdraftdatabase.com. But I do have PFF up on my other monitor to check out team needs because I think it's a helpful tool. The Giants are obviously trading the 5th overall pick, and they're going to trade it more. I'm just putting in these two picks because that's what makes the trade allowed to go through. But it's going to take another first from next year, and it's probably going to take at least a third on top of that. I'm not here to break down the specifics. I'm here to make the mock trade. And the Giants are taking Drake Maye 2nd overall. They'll have him sit behind Daniel Jones to start the year. And the beauty about Daniel Jones' contract, although it's a 4-year deal, they have an opt-out after this year, a team opt-out this upcoming year. So they're basically on the hook for one more year for $40 million, and they can let Daniel Jones go, let Drake Maye be the guy, take over halfway through the season, whatever it may be. This leaves Washington at the unenviable position of having the 3rd overall pick and 2 quarterbacks going off first. Now, the question is whether they believe in Sam Howell. And that's the big question here. There's going to be a regime change, at least a coaching change. Ron Rivera is definitely out. I don't know who's coming in, whether it could be Bill Belichick. It could be the offensive coordinator from the Detroit Lions. I think he's going to be a hot candidate. It would be very Washington to not take a quarterback here. And so that's what I think they do. At the end of the day, I think it would be smart to move on from Howell, especially considering you only invested, a 2nd or 3rd round pick, and he hasn't really shown a whole lot, but I think they give him another chance. I think they take the best player on the draft board, in my opinion. I think they take Marvin Harrison Jr. here at 3rd. And I think they give it a season for Sam Howell to see if he's the guy, and if not, they move on to possibly a veteran option before they consider drafting someone next year. At pick number 4, the New England Patriots, I think whether Bill Belichick goes or stays, whether he retires or gets traded or is the head coach and GM coming into next year, I think they go quarterback. The best quarterback on the board, I think, is easily Jaden Daniels. And I think they take him 4th overall and have him start pretty soon in this season. I think they move on from Mac Jones, honestly. And I think they'll have Bailey Zappi and Jaden Daniels kind of compete for the start week 1. Now, the Cardinals, I mentioned, would have the option, assuming quarterback would go 2, the option between Brock Bowers, Malik Neighbors, and Marvin Harrison Jr. Obviously, Marvin Harrison Jr. is off the board, but I think I like them getting Malik Neighbors here and having an extra first next year from the Giants. I think that works out well for them. And then the Chargers here, I love the pick of tight end. Brock Bowers gives another weapon to Herbert and whoever that new head coach is, whether it's going to be Kellen Moore or not, I don't know. But whoever it is, I think the offense is going to be more successful next year than it was under Brandon Staley. And I like adding another weapon for Herbert to be able to throw to. The Titans at 7, love the way this draft falls. They get the best offensive lineman, but the pick of the litter, and I think Joe Alt's that guy for them. I mean, obviously they could go for Shanu, wouldn't doubt them whatsoever. But Joe Alt's the top guy from what I've seen, in my opinion. So I think that's where Tennessee goes, and I think they love, love, love that they got that value at number 7 overall. At number 8, Chicago's back on the clock. They have their franchise quarterback. And although I would love them to take a tackle, I think they end up straying. PFF, let me see their draft needs. They have quarterback, wide receiver, center, defensive line, and cornerback. I think I think they avoid going edge rusher here just because they added Montez Sweat. I think they're going to see what a full season of him looks like. That extension looks like good value, despite many people, including myself, saying it was not good value at the time. And so I think that they end up going corner. I think they go Kool-Aid McKinstry. I think this is a little early to pick him, but nonetheless, I think it's the pick for them. They now have an elite cornerback duo rather, in Chicago, and you can't hate it whatsoever. At number 9, the New York Jets. I think they love this pick as well. I think this is an easy pick for them. They have needs at offensive tackle on both sides, really. I like Max Mitchell as a depth piece, not as a starter. Mekhi Becton has shown that he's definitely not long for New York, although I'm rooting for him and I think he's a great guy. Hasn't been himself this season, and I think injuries are kind of taking a toll. And in my opinion, I'd like Elijah Vera Tucker to keep starting at guard and only swing out to tackle if he's needed. Shanu is an easy, easy pick for them. I don't think it's close. Atlanta at pick 10, I think, is one of the more interesting picks here. PFF has their needs at quarterback, which I think is kind of obvious, wide receiver, edge, and corner. When I initially did this mock draft and kind of mapped it out, I had them taking an edge, but at the same time, I think they're done with Desmond Ridder. I think that's obvious. You have Bo Nix and Michael Penix on the board. I'm going to have them take Bo Nix. I'm going to have them do that. And I think he's going to start pretty early in the season. Pick 11, New Orleans Saints. Originally, I also had them going edge, and I think I'm going to have them going again. PFF has their needs as tackle and defensive line. I like the Dallas Turner pick. I like the UCLA edge rusher. I'm going to butcher his name. I apologize. Latu go into them as well. I don't hate either one. I'm going to pick Latu for the purpose of this example because I believe he is the higher rated across most draft boards. But either one. Pick 12 for the Green Bay Packers. I think PFF has their needs, yes, as running back, tackle, defensive interior, and safety. I think they don't believe in Aaron Jones' health or maybe his contract status. I'm not too sure. I doubt they go running back, to be honest. They could go J.C. Latham. I wouldn't hate that pick, but with Dallas Turner still on the board, I think no, I'm gonna stick with my guts. My gut. I think they go Jerjon Newton. I think they're more focused on the interior defensive line, even though I like Dallas Turner and their defense. I don't think that's where they end up going. We have the Raiders sitting here at 13 with needs, according to PFF, needs at quarterback, running back, offensive line, defensive line, linebacker, and defensive back. They need the best player available. I think that's Dallas Turner. I originally had them taking J.C. Latham in my original draft of this mock draft, but I think they take Dallas Turner here, best player available. 14th overall, we have Denver, needs for PFF, quarterback, wide receiver, center, edge, and corner. This is a tough pick for me. I had them taking Jared Verse in the original mock draft I drew up. I still don't hate that. Oof. I'm gonna change it up though. I think they go Rome Odunze. I think they end up taking, I'm going to say, I think they end up taking a wide receiver, trying to boost this offense a little bit, trying to get Russell Wilson going. I don't think they're moving on from Russ. I think that's what they end up doing. All right. At pick number 15, we have the Minnesota Vikings. Oh, needs from PFF. Similar story. Quarterback, running back, guard, center, defensive line, linebacker, and defensive back. So they're saying they don't need a tight end, obviously, and they don't need a tackle. Pretty much need every other position. For the Minnesota Vikings, I think I mean, I think they go Nate Wiggins. I'm just gonna go with Nate Wiggins. I think that adds a corner to their defense that who's insanely athletic and really could provide another level for them. And a guy who I think just answers a hole they have, fills a hole they have, answers a problem they have. And you throw him out there, you start him week 1, you feel good about it. Arizona Cardinals, pick 16. According to PFF, their needs are wide receiver, which we've already answered, offensive line, defensive line, linebacker, and cornerback. I'm going to have them take JC Latham here. I think he's the best player available. I think he plugs in an offensive tackle spot for them right away. Love it. You've gone and got Kyler Murray a weapon, and then you got him a blindside protector in Latham along that offensive line. I think he's very happy with this draft, at least the first 2 picks. Pittsburgh at pick 17 have needs at corner. I'm sorry, at center, linebacker, and defensive back. In my original mock draft for them, I had them taking Rome Odunze, and obviously he's off the board here. I don't feel fully confident about this pick at all, but I'll go Cooper DeJean here. I think that gives him a corner to match up with a Joey Porter Jr. And you've got your 2 starting spots sealed. I don't love that pick, but I think that's where I have to go for them. Number 18, Cincinnati Bengals. They're going offensive tackle. I don't care. They need to protect Joe Burrow. They've needed to protect Joe Burrow since his rookie year, and they've done a poor job of it. Amarius Mims, boom, offensive tackle. Pick number 19, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Needs, once again, PFF needs quarterback, running back, tight end, guard, center, edge, linebacker, cornerback. And you have Jared Verse at the top of this list. However, one of the positions they don't list is wide receiver, and that's because they assume Mike Evans is going to be back. He's a free agent after this season. If he's leaving, I love, 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 love the pick of Keon Coleman. Love the pick of Keon Coleman. Do I assume he's going to leave? I don't know. I think maybe I'm going to bet on him leaving for this mock draft, and they take Keon Coleman as his replacement. Pick number 20 for the Indianapolis Colts. Needs at wide receiver, offensive line, defensive interior, and defensive back. Terrion Arnold is where I had them, I believe. Yes, in my first draft of this mock draft, I'm going to go there again. They need defensive backs all the way through. I think that's painfully obvious anytime you watch a Colts game. I like that pick for them overall. Seattle, pick 21, guard, center, and edge. Every year I do any mock drafts, I always have trouble with Seattle. I mean, last year I had them taking a corner early. It was Christian Gonzalez early. And at the same time, I thought, and I was told this by a friend of mine, Seattle does not pick corners early. They really don't. And then they did pick a corner early, and it was Devin Witherspoon, and it was a great pick. I always have trouble with them. I never know where Pete Carroll and company are going, but needs a guard, center, and edge. They've got Jared Verse, one of the best edge rushers in this class available. I think that's an easy pick for them. The Jacksonville Jaguars at 22 needs a guard, center, edge, and defensive back. You got Robinson available from Penn State. I think that's an easy choice for them. I don't love the interior offensive line currently sitting here. I mean, Graham Barton's a decent pick, of course. I'm going to choose Robinson. I think that's a solid pick for them as an edge rusher off of that defense. You pair him with previous picks. Obviously, Josh Allen's there, the first overall pick from just a few years ago. Who was that out of Georgia? I can never remember his name. Picked first overall. Anyway, you pair that edge rush tandem, and I think that ends up being a solid pick for them. Pick 23 for the LA Rams needs, according to PFF, at quarterback, offensive line, defensive line, linebacker, and defensive back. I like the idea of taking Fuaga. I'm not sure if they're going to play him at tackle or if they're going to move him inside to guard. Either way, I think it's a good pick for them. I think they need to improve that offensive line. I think they realize that Matthew Stafford still got some good football left in him, and you got him good weapons in Puka Nakua and Cooper Cup, obviously. You got a running back that you could build around. I think you have some defensive talent. Obviously, Aaron Donald's not going to be long for this league and this team anymore, I feel. Um, but yeah, an offensive tackle, you try to keep the pocket clean and make that offense more dynamic. Although it'd be kind of hilarious if I took Ibuka with that pick, just add another wide receiver into this. Pick 24, Buffalo Bills with needs at wide receiver, tackle, defensive interior, linebackers, and defensive back. And that's where I had them going in the first draft of this mock draft, taking Kamari here from Georgia. I think they end up going corner. They seem to like taking defensive backs early. I think that pick makes a lot of sense for them. Pick 25 with Kansas City, and this is an easy pick. This is the easiest pick in this whole mock draft. Give me Egbuka from Ohio State. I think that gives them a dynamic playmaking weapon for Patrick Mahomes to take advantage of. I made a video just recently about how the Chiefs do not have really any wide receiver talent capable of starting. I mean, you could argue, I guess Kadarius Toney is a starting wide receiver, but they do not have a wide receiver one or a wide receiver two, and Egbuka steps in to try to fill that offensive role in year one. I think that's a great pick for them. Pick 26 for Dallas. Dallas has needs at running back, which is clear with Tony Pollard's performance. Center, defensive interior, linebacker, and cornerback. So basically throughout the defense. I don't hate adding an edge for them. At the same time, I think maybe they try to take Graham Barton and play him at center and have an option there. That's where I'm going to go. I'll have them taking Graham Barton. Houston needs at wide receiver, tight end, defensive line, and linebacker. Pick 27 is kind of a late pick for them, but of course they have Cleveland's pick here. Where do they go with this? I think that they end up taking the best edge available, and right now that's Braylon Trice. I think he pairs well with Will Anderson, dynamic off the edge with Will Anderson coming up the middle. I think that's a nice pick for them. And considering how well the offense is humming, I think they could obviously use a tackle. So maybe I should have gone tackle there. But nonetheless, I don't hate the pick. Detroit at pick 28 needs at guard, center, defensive interior, and corner. I thought they'd go quarterback in the first round last year. They didn't. They could go quarterback here. I am really tempted to go quarterback here. Yep, they're gonna take Michael Penix. They're gonna take their quarterback of the future. They're gonna have him back up Jared Goff for the next year or two, a la Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love of their division rivals, and we'll see what he is when he debuts. I think he's a great developmental quarterback, guy to keep behind Jared Goff in case of injury. I like the pick. I like the pick. Miami Dolphins needs tight end and offensive line. I think this is an easy pick for them. I think they need to shore up that offensive line in any way possible. I know they've had injuries this year, but at the end of the day, the talent of the offensive line wasn't as elite as the rest of the offense, and that's where the easiest upgrade could be made. Philadelphia has an interesting spot sitting here. Needs at wide receiver, linebacker, and defensive back. I feel like there's kind of a drop here with JT from Ohio State, but at the same time, I think they end up going defensive back. I really do. Um, the question is Cameron Kinchens or Kalen King. Both two names that have some fun alliteration and are hard to say. I'm going to give them Kinchens, and that leaves the corner for the San Francisco 49ers, which I think fills a hole for them. And I think Baltimore honestly loves how this turned out. I could see them going wide receiver again with Odell Beckham Jr. not being as productive as they hoped, and I believe he's a free agent as well. But I think they take an edge rusher and add another piece to that dominant defense. So that's the draft here. Obviously, the big move, Drake Maye going to the New York Giants with a trade up with the Arizona Cardinals. I think some of the bigger picks, some of the more shocking picks, I think will be Marvin Harrison Jr. Malik Neighbors at 5, I think is a solid pick. I like some of these picks. Maybe my bias is coming out a little bit with letting Fashanu get past the Bears. I don't know. Think about that how you may. Um, if anything, then the Jets would take J.C. Latham and Kool-Aid McKinstry would drop a little bit because the Jets are definitely taking an offensive tackle if they're picking with that pick. Let me know what you think of my mock draft in the comments below. Do you think I'm a casual? Do you think anybody should obviously have gone somewhere else? Do you think any team should have obviously taken a different position? Let me know what you think in the comments below. I appreciate all your feedback. This was just a fun project, no serious nature to it, but I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching this Quick Thoughts episode. Peace out.